Well, we are having another Motor Files moment. So I was looking at my sump plug, and remember how I was saying that they can strip out if you're not careful? Hey everybody, welcome back to Motor Files. I don't remember what episode it is, but it's the next one. So this episode's great because I just hit 26,000 miles on the Funduro. I've been riding off-road a little bit, and it is time for the 26,000 mile service. I typically do an annual service on my Beamers because with these European motorcycles, they run tight tolerances. They're reliable as long as you take care of them. So we're going to be doing that in this episode. Let me show you what I've got on the bench and what we're going to be doing for the 26K service. Every time I have a major service or more comprehensive service, I always make a list. Let me show you what's on my list. So first up, we're going to be doing an engine service. So oil, filter, check for leaks, check engine mounts. We got to go check the valves, which I'm excited for. I always like doing that. So we're definitely going to have to take the bike apart a bit. I left some places to leave my specs, and then here's the specs for the valves. I'm going to double check that before I make my final decision. We got new plugs we're going to put in it. Check the air filter, check the fuel lines, make sure the throttle looks good. Inspect all the hoses. I did the brake pads last season and the brake rotors, but we're going to double check those, make sure they're good. Fresh fluid, check the lines. Definitely need to clean and lubricate the chain and adjust the tension. The chain and sprockets I know were changed out relatively recently, but we're going to check them anyway, make sure they're good. We're going to check the tires. I'm going to be due for tires soon. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. And then we'll check the spoke tension, wheel bearings, rear shock, front forks. Chassis, electrical. I know I just did the battery recently. I do have an issue with my auxiliary lights, so we're going to dive into that. Clean the airbox, make sure there isn't any junk in there. Check the snorkel and seals. I did go off-road and did get some mud, so we will, check that out. And then fire it up, make sure everything looks good, ride it. Double check the fluids to make sure that they're all topped off and burped. And then I always put some notes right here just in case. I typically like to do that because when you dive into a bike, and especially because I'm basically changing all the fluids, it's good to stay organized. So here's what I picked up from the parts store. So we're going to be going with a full synthetic VP Racing 1040. I always run a little bit of Lucas oil stabilizer. I got some fresh plugs. I always buy these HF151s in packs of 3 because Julia's G650 also runs the same filter. I only run Beamer Group antifreeze. I've got enough left. Some super clean just to clean things off, fresh bottle of brake fluid, and some chain lube. I'm gonna go grab the Funduro, move it over to the work area, and let's get cracking on the 26K service. Alrighty, we got her set up, ready to get worked on. Looks like a bird shit on it. Without further ado, you don't really need to see this, but I'm gonna get her stripped down and ready for maintenance mode. Much better. So what I'm going to do next, I'm going to fire up the bike, let it idle for a few minutes. While the motor is heating up, I'm getting ready to drain the oil. I'm going to go through the checklist and then check all the inspection items that I need to check. And we should be good there. Let's get this oil warmed up. Perfect. All right, with the engine nice and warm, or relatively warm anyway, we're going to drain the oil. So there's 3 steps to drain the oil. The Funduro is dry sump, which means it's oil and frame. So right here is the oil fill port. As you can see, I've got a little gauge. I'm going to pop that open, and so that way it can breathe. Just leave it cracked. And then there's 2 plugs. There's one right here, which is the bottom of the oil tank that's in the frame. And then there's also a sump plug right here, which would be your typical plug you would see on a normal motorcycle. The sump plug is a 17 millimeter, and then this frame plug is a 10 millimeter. What I'm gonna do first, I always drain the sump first and then I drain the oil tank. I've got my drain pan right here. Oh yeah, she is nice and dirty. Check the drain plug. It's magnetic. There should be a little magnet on there. See if you got any deposits. This one actually looks pretty good. You'll see a couple little things, but nothing major. It's always a good idea to kind of shift it back and forth and see if you see any chunks. It's still dripping just a little bit. So I usually have an empty liter bottle that I'll just leave right there. And then now we're going to hit the oil tank drain plug right here. Ready? You can tell I've done this a few times. There she goes. The oil has stopped dripping, mostly. It's a little bit on the header, but we'll wipe that off in a second. And it's completely stopped dripping out of the sump. So what I'll do is I'll take my sump plug and I'll just wipe it off. Oh. Now the sump plug is in. Now we will wipe off the header. Do the same for the tank plug. Next up, we're gonna remove the oil filter cap. In order to do that, when I pull the oil filter cap off, oil is gonna flow down here. So what I'm gonna do, I take an Allen wrench. I believe this is a 5 mil. Yeah, and then we're gonna loosen these guys. There's one here, one there, and one there. What I like to do is a two-handed operation. I'll push down on the rear brake lever and then loosen that third one. So let me get this cover pulled off. And as you can see, here's the sprocket, so we'll check the teeth when we go to adjust the chain. And now I've got my 5 millimeter Allen, and we're just gonna loosen these bolts, and the cover should pop right off. When I pull these two bolts off, the oil is gonna spill out, and it's just gonna run down and just drain right into the pan. And we'll pull the cover off. Let that drain out. When you pull the cover off, there's an O-ring on it, so make sure you clean that O-ring. I usually replace it every other oil change. It's not super mandatory. And let that drain for a minute. Now that that's drained for a few, while I was waiting, I went and cleaned the O-ring off, cleaned the cover, got a little bit of oil on the O-ring on the new filter, and then I got a clean rag. Just gonna get all the oil out and then clean off the mating surface. O-ring side goes in. You wanna just get it set. Looks good right there. And bolts. And start that by hand. Another thing you want to be careful of when you're doing this is make sure you don't pinch this wire. So I'll kind of move it out of the way a little bit to get this Allen screw started. And then we'll get that tightened down. The specs for this bike are 10 Newton meters for the oil filter cover, 10 Newton meters for the oil tank drain plug, and then 40 Newton meters for the sump plug. So I got my torque wrench out, I got it set. I'm going to get these torqued down. Well, we were having another Motor Files moment. So I was looking at my sump plug, and remember how I was saying that they can strip out if you're not careful? Well, this one was already stripped from vibration, and that's why I was finding chunks in the oil. And then I go to just hand tighten it down, and it might be hard to see, but under here where my finger is, there are no threads left in the oil sump plug, which means we're going to have to put a helicoil in the sump plug in order to get enough threads to grab the sump plug. Great. So that's going to be a complete pain in the ass. I am a little annoyed, but you know, that's just how it goes with this kind of stuff. The sump is stripped, we're down bad. So in the meantime, let's get all the other maintenance done. Next up, we're going to pull the valve cover off, get the engine at top dead center, pull the plugs out, to go and check the valve. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get the tank off and take you along with me, and I'll pick it up when we get the valve cover off. We're in good shape up top. I'll show you how you check the valves on a single cylinder Rotax motor with overhead cams. So over here I've got the valve cover off. You can see here's the camshafts. So you've got your intake side, your right and your left, and then your exhaust side, right and your left. And then you've got your timing gears, timing chain, and then chain guide. What you want to do is you want to pull the spark plugs out here and here. And then down here you've got a sight window. And in here, it might be hard to see, but you can see a little dot right there. And then you notice that the valves, or the cam lobes are sideways. They aren't depressing on the valves on both the intake and exhaust side. That means it's in top dead center. How you find that is you put the bike in gear, pull the plugs out. I put a zip tie on the clutch right there, and then you turn it on and you can bump the starter. Obviously it won't fire because we don't have ignition. You can bump the starter, and then you watch down here until that dot lines up, and you want to make sure that both sides aren't depressed. And then what you want to do is, I always write notes, so I went and checked the valve clearances here. Obviously it's a little greasy, but the valves need to be between 0.03 and 0.11. And so I went in, and you just go through each and make sure that, you know, you grab a clearance. This one is 0.06, and make sure that they aren't touching. These ones seem to be good. I'm gonna go around and double check them, and then we should be good to go. And then I bump it over again to top dead center again and do it one more time just to double check my notes. Definitely the intake side's good. I want to make sure the exhaust side is good. You also want to inspect them to see if you see any pitting, any scratching, anything like that, to make sure that you don't have any issues going down the road or there isn't any unusual wear. So I'm going to go double check these again, but we're looking okay. I'm feeling good about it. I'm going to go put the valve cover back on, clean it up, and torque it down and put some new spark plugs in it. Cranking along. The valves are looking good. Got the valve cover back on, torqued down to spec. Don't worry, I will wash the bike at some point. We have fresh spark plugs, NGKs, DR8Es over there. I know it's a mess. Torqued to spec. So next up, we are going to pull the air filter, which is right here behind the starter solenoid. 2 10 mils, we'll slide that out. Check the air box, make sure there isn't any junk in the air box. That should be good to go. I did do the coolant last year, so you do the coolant every 2 years. So I don't need to change the coolant, which is awesome because you kind of have to start the motor in order to do that, and just to bleed it. And since I don't have a sump plug right now, there's technically no oil in the bike. Okay, let's get to the air filter. We didn't get as far as I'd like to today, but check the valves, which I'm really happy about. We got fresh plugs in this thing, new oil filter, obviously new engine oil. We cleaned the air filter. I drained the air box. There's some sludge in there, so that looks good, nice and clean there. Yeah, I think everything's pretty much good to go. I did check the coolant as I was doing some odds and ends off camera. So I'm pretty happy with what we got, minus the drain plug issue. But that's all right, we will survive. I have a solution coming for that tomorrow, so we'll pick up the video when I go and fix that. As of right now, I'm gonna get the bike buttoned all back up for the most part, minus the skid plate and do a few other odd and ends I wanted to do. I also learned while I was playing around this light's burned out, which sucks. So if anybody has any suggestions for moto lights I should run on this, I'd be happy to check them out. Leave a comment down below.
A few moments later.
Welcome back. We have the parts to fix the sump on the Funduro. What we're going to do is we're going to pray to the beamer gods. Hopefully they will be benevolent and shine down on us and we can get this fixed. Let me show you what that kit entails. So this is our thread repair kit. It is for a M18 by 1.5 pitch. These are helicoils, so if you're doing this at home, you can follow along. Hopefully you aren't doing this at home, and if you are, Godspeed. What we've done is I've already gone through the kit. I cut down one of the helicoils on this install tool. I've already put it on the install tool. So that's the roughly 10 millimeter, 9 millimeter width that we're going for. So that's going to get installed up into the drain plug hole. So first up, we're going to drill it out slightly larger. I've already marked the drill bit. I had to cut it down a little bit to fit in the chuck of my drill. So we're going to drill that out nice and slow. Then we're going to tap it here with this threaded tap. And then install this. Try to pull the tang off without losing something. And then hopefully the drain plug should fit right in and no leaks. Cross your fingers. I've got some red Loctite for the helicoil when it goes in. And then we'll drill into here and get that all set up. Something I've done to minimize shavings in the oil pan is I have a mattress inflator right here. So I'm going to kick that on and it's going to blow air down into the sump here through the oil tank and have some positive pressure running through the drain plug hole. So that way, if there's any chips that make it up, hopefully they'll end up down below onto the ground. I've used it in the past with the cooling system I had to do pre-motor files and it worked decent, and you know, it's the best shot we have. So we're gonna go nice and slow and take our time, and I'm hoping that it'll work out. I don't know if we're out of the woods yet, but we've definitely made progress. As you probably saw a minute ago, we have threads. Oh my god, I can't believe we have threads. This final tang right here is below the ceiling line. And fingers crossed, I think she's gonna hold. So that's a big relief. We won't know till we know. So what I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna put some thread tape on the drain plug and we'll throw it in there, and if it holds we'll leave it for a few hours before we fill up the bike. But fingers crossed, I think we're going to be okay. I don't want to jinx it, so I'm going to get back under there. We're going to get the drain plug installed. Well everybody, we may have a win. Now there's only one way to confirm the win, and that's by putting oil in it and firing the bike, which I have prepared to do here. But I got it tightened down and it looks flush. There's the focus. It looks flush and where it needs to go. And let's see if this is a win or not. First start. We did it. I fired it up. It's not leaking. It's going great. So I'm going to let it idle a bit more. We're going to top it off with a little bit of Lucas. And then we'll touch base here in a second. Well, we're back in the shop. Had to cool off a little bit. It was getting hot out there in the direct sun. It is no longer in the direct sun. We've got about this many screws and a couple of panels to put back in the bike. So we're going to walk over. Here she is. And just like that, we are back together. This is definitely a fun episode. The 26K service is done. I feel good about it. It's not leaking. We're gonna take it out tomorrow. Julie and I are gonna go for a ride. I'll probably film something about that. We'll see. I'm really excited because now the bike is ready for a full season of adventures on and off the road. And yeah, we're just going to keep on rolling and keep on fixing things as they come. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. Stay tuned for more off-road adventures. I've got an El Camino video coming out soon, so if you're into the four-wheel stuff, I haven't forgot about you. Thank you again, and I'll see you on the next one.